Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Try to put this here. See how good the sound is. So perfecto and this in English. Okay. Entschuldigung, mein Deutsch ist nicht so gut. No. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Sarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine. So we continue reading from A Transcendental Diary Travels with His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada by Hari Suridas. We are on in Sri Vrindavan Dham, September 8th, 1976. There was no morning walk today. Vishala Prabhu is in Vrindavan again. It's difficult to miss him because he is so enthusiastic to praise Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Next paragraph. Each morning when Srila Prabhupada greets the deities, he takes particular note of the flowers offered for their lordship's garlands. He has complained several times about the poor quality of the flowers, and even worse on occasion. Some garlands are missing when the curtains open. Management is a constant headache for Srila Prabhupada, but in his class he made it clear there is a difference between spiritual and material anxiety. The verse explained that even when one is Atma Rama or fully satisfied, as Sukadev Goswami was, still one takes up some trouble for the service of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada said that Sukadev Goswami took the trouble to go out and preach the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So this is the question, how the Atma Rama becomes interested in other activities. So these activities are not material activities. Nivritti nirataha. We have to stop this material word, material activities. That does not mean you will have to stop your activities. The other part of the activities, they will begin after stopping these material activities. That is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kamshati. One who is Atmaram, Aham Brahmasmi. I'm not this material body. No more I have to do anything for this material body. People are anxious, especially the karmis, how to maintain this body. But when one comes to the conclusion that I am not this body, naturally his interest for maintaining the body diminishes. Practically it becomes nil. Nirahara viharakadi vijitau. You will find from the behavior of the Goswamis they practically conquered over the necessities of this body. That does not mean he has to cease all activities. So here Srila Prabhupada is voluntarily is appreciating that devotees take a voluntary austerity for Krishna. Normally, in the material world, you have to have some anxiety. You cannot avoid anxiety. There is always this bag you have to carry, and that the bag is anxiety. Now we can choose what kind of anxiety we want. Do we want the material anxiety or do we want the spiritual anxiety? Spiritual anxiety brings one closer to Krishna. Spiritual anxiety may be, for example, for service of Krishna. You know, you are thinking, oh, how do I do this? I have this service, but I don't feel so qualified. Or I'm trying to manage something, you know, so I have this, how do I do it properly? You know, this, so it's not that we are just the whole day we are doing nothing. We are doing so many things for Krishna, right? But we take some anxiety. This anxiety is very purifying. And Srila Prabhupada, he took the greatest anxiety. He would say that I want to focus on writing books because that was his main contribution, to write books. But and he wanted to get a little aloof from the management so he could focus on his book writing. For example, he would say things like, oh, so you are already advanced now, so you all do the management. I will just focus on my book writing. But again and again, he would be again pushed, like not pushed, but devotees would again ask for his help, question him, and again he had to interfere. So he was managing the whole movement constantly during the day, writing so many letters, and at night he was translating. We read yesterday that he would sleep around 10 and then wake up at 12 and then start translating. It's a normal person cannot do this, right? A normal human being, if he sleeps at 10 and wakes up at 12, he goes crazy. So this is a sign of an advanced soul, a very advanced soul that can do this. And it's not that he also had a very nice day. I mean, nice, no stress. It was not like that. He took stress for Krishna. He was constantly thinking, oh, what this temple and this devotees, how will this be managed? So this was constantly going on in his head. So this stress for Krishna, this is good. This is what we want. We want. Otherwise, we will get stressed for the material world. We cannot avoid being stressed. So we take stress for Krishna, and that is purifying. So later in the next verse, it's explained that the verse Atma Rama, this is the famous verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually explained to Rupa Goswami. This is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam which says that even fully satisfied devotees as Sukadev Goswami, they still, although they are fully satisfied in themselves, they still serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada said that Sukadev Goswami took the trouble to go out and preach Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada also, he is the perfect example of this, of going out and preaching. So what year did he go to the US? No. 65. 65 he started. From where? Yasoda Jivan Prabhu?
First
Jaladuta from where?
from India.
Which place in India?
Very famous port.
From Calcutta.
Calcutta.
Yeah. No, I mean he first came to Calcutta and then he boarded the Jaladuta and then he came to Bombay. It took him around 1 month in the ship. He had 2 heart attacks on the ship. 2 heart attacks. And he was thinking if a third one will come, he's going to die. So fortunately, he did not, the third heart attack did not come. But this was his perfect example that how much difficulty he took to serve Krishna. Right? And he would say, I have nothing right now, I'm so far away from home, but my constant companion is, he had Chaitanya Charitamrita. He would be reading Chaitanya Charitamrita daily. So that's what he wrote in his diary, that Chaitanya Charitamrita is my constant companion. So for devotees, this is our constant shelter that we take, shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Do we have Chaitanya Charitamrita translated in your language? You have?
Chaitanya, yeah. I think so.
You have it? Right now?
Right now, no.
No. Yeah. So we take shelter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, like Srila Prabhupada showed us, right? So that's the essence. Preaching is the essence. We take whatever we can. We take some stress for Krishna, and that's how we get involved in the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because if we don't take some stress for Krishna, material stress will come. You cannot avoid.
So that's interesting
Mm.
because so when you sometimes stressed out, maybe your saver and maybe power study Hanuman Pranam, but totally stressed out, it's not better than Maya because of the saver than in Maya because I'm feeling negative, stressed out feeling.
Yeah, you should remember Krishna at the time of stress also. Yeah, then that's good. Whatever helps you remember Krishna, that's good. So if you're thinking, this is not being done, but Krishna, please help me, that's very good. Once Srila Prabhupada, he had a photo, and in the photo he was feeling very sad, kind of looking sad. And one devotee asked him, "What were you thinking? You were feeling a little sad." Prabhupada said, "That was a moment of greatest ecstasy." So taking difficulties for Krishna, for pure devotees, it is the moment of joy. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say something like, happiness for me is when I take difficulties for Krishna. You know, so when we feel, we should not feel burnt out, but healthy stress is good. There is some stress needed. Yeah, I mean healthy amount, not too much, but yeah, you cannot have zero stress. It's not possible. So their healthiest amount of stress is always there, and it's natural. And the more we serve, the more it also becomes used in Krishna's service. And the more, like when difficulties come, we can understand that we try our best, but we are not the doer. And we just pray to Krishna, please help us. This is not in my control. I'm just doing my best, but you are the ultimate controller. And yeah, so even stress is is it's far better to struggle in Krishna consciousness than to struggle in material world. It's far better. You are a far better winner if you struggle in Krishna consciousness. uh, in the material world, because ultimately you will lose, you become a loser. You're struggling so hard, ultimately you lose everything. But if you struggle in Krishna consciousness, at least what you have, you'll never lose it. It is a permanent asset. Sometimes devotees, they say, just give one life to Krishna. This one life. You have given so many lives to Maya. So many births, so many lifetimes we have given to us. Just give this one life to Krishna, and your life will be successful. Sometimes we may think, this is what all I all have. This is all I have, one life, and this also I give to Krishna. But we understand this is not the only life, right? We have had in so many lives, and in this life we got the opportunity to hear this message, to serve Srila Prabhupada. So just this one life, and then all our troubles will end. Once Indradimna Maharaj was getting, he brought his luggage from the, Srila Prabhupada was coming. So all the devotees, they would go to the airport to receive Srila Prabhupada. And in those days, you could go until the, it was before 9/11, So devotees could go into the airport, inside, just when, like when people would start coming from the tarmac, from the airplane. And all the devotees, they went back with Srila Prabhupada, and Indradimna Maharaj, he was asked to stay on the airport because Prabhupada's luggage was coming a little late. So he stayed in the airport. He was feeling very sad, Oh, I missed the arrival of Srila Prabhupada in temple. It's such ecstatic. All of them, they are enjoying there, and I'm here on the airport. Oh, it's so sad. And then he got the luggage, and he put it in the taxi. He went to the temple, and all the festivities had already finished, you know. And then he was just pulling the luggage up the stairs. Nobody was there. And he went to Srila Prabhupada's room. He offered obeisances, and um, he put Prabhupada's luggage there. And then Prabhupada saw him. No, he was almost colliding with Prabhupada. He couldn't see Prabhupada as the back. And then somebody said, "Watch out, Srila Prabhupada is on your back." So he offered obeisances, and Prabhupada patted him on the back, and he said, "So much of difficulty right now, but when you go back to Godhead, everything will be very easy." So he was appreciating that his disciple was going through some difficulty, but um, it's a little difficulty, but um, it's like if you want to go somewhere, let's say you want to go to the US, and in 1 month you'll get the visa, but for 1 month you'll have to keep hearing these nasty words from the visa officer. Let's say that is the agreement. Then you think like, oh, it's just something, but after 1 month I'm getting my visa, I'm going to America. So the nasty words of the visa officer will not affect you so much, because you are going back at the end of the month, right? So it's the same thing with um, devotees have firm faith that they're going back to Krishna. So um, and then because of that, we're able to tolerate all the difficult situations.
Questions only in the end.
Let me quickly finish this one. Yeah, I think I'm finished. Yeah. And then we'll move to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Please.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you speak with non-religious people, then and you bring up this point that you were saying right now, then they would say something like, you only live for that the great after, and tolerate all the difficulties here for the great after, but you're not really present here, like you're not really able to enjoy life here. You're just able to tolerate for the big great after, which might not even exist. I mean, that's
Right. Yeah, I would not just say this to the non-religious people. I'd also say that we're having a lot of enjoyment in this world also as devotees. It's not that, okay, that's one thing, that there is all suffering ends when one goes to Vaikuntha. But if we just look at this life also, who is having more enjoyment? Are they having more enjoyment than us? I don't think so. You look at devotees, who are more happy. You see, once Indradimna Maharaj, he was traveling somewhere, he had normal clothes on. And the visa, he was on the immigration line. And then one person was just looking at him, and he was just saying, if you are so happy, they might be suspicious. The visa officers will be suspicious. So what is it about you? Sometimes the people ask. They can't really pinpoint, but when you see a devotee, when you associate with a devotee, people can recognize this person is somewhat different. You know, in workplace, I have heard many people say in workplace of devotees that sometimes they come to the devotees and they say, "What is it about you? You are a little different. You are mostly happy." You know, so it's not that we are suffering right now and then we are aiming for something. Even in this material world, a devotee is the most happy. If that does that answer your question, Prabhu?
So what's the answer? I mean, like answer to the person, like
I think the answer is if you are explaining to a person, we try to explain how devotional service helps you in this life, how how this outlook helps you in this life, how the outlook of karma, how the outlook that we are not the controller helps one, the outlook that we see every living entity as spiritual spark and we don't see the body, the perspective that this material world is for our education and not just for our enjoyment. This outlook makes one happy. If one practices this with not just jnana, this is the not just knowledge, but there is also practice involved. When you practice this, then you realize you are happy. Okay, we go to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we're reading Madhya Lila, chapter 6, text 153. The chapter is entitled The Liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And please repeat. Svabhavikatina Shakti Yai Brahmehaya Nishaktika Karitanre Karaha Nischaya. 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 Svabhavikatina Shakti Yai Brahmehaya Nishaktika Karitanre Karaha Nischaya.
Interesting is at the end of the second
It's a question.
line is question.
It's a question, yes.
You have to read
What?
it such as question.
Yeah. Word for word. Svabhavika, by nature. Tina, three. Shakti, potencies. Yay, which. Brahme, in the absolute truth. Haya,
Haya,
there are.
there are.
Nishaktika,
Shaktika,
without potency.
that potency.
Kari,
Kari,
making.
making.
Tanre, him.
In.
Karaha,
Karava,
you do.
you do.
Nischaya,
Jaya,
ascertainment. Translation. Supreme Personality of Godhead has three primary potencies. Are you trying to ascertain that he has no potencies? Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now quotes 4 verses from Vishnu Puran to explain the different potencies of the Lord. Let me offer my obeisances quickly. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasudaya Vattvashmate Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Gauravanti Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Parashtute Mama Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manorisnam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakara. So this is a conversation going on between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Forgot who was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in Krishna Leela. Does anyone remember? So everyone in Chaitanya Leela, there was someone in Krishna Leela. Forgot who was. But he is very intelligent. He is one of the renowned scholar during that time. And he is engaging in conversation with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And before the conversation, he is mostly like impersonalist. After the conversation, he becomes a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like a touchstone. You know, touchstone?
touchstone.
Yeah, touchstone is anything you touch becomes gold. So the Lord and his pure devotees are like that. Like when you come in contact with pure devotees, they change you. It's like Prabhupada would explain, it's like you bring a metal rod to fire. What happens to the metal rod? It gets all the qualities of the fire. So similarly, when we are close to a pure devotee, even we may be so contaminated, because the pure devotee is connected to Krishna, we also become spiritual. So this is the great science of association. Srila Prabhupada would say, if you associate with, if you want to become a drunkard, you associate with drunkards. He would say this. If you want to become devotees, you associate with devotees. This is the simple, maybe at the end would be. This is the simple process. It's the most potent. Potent is like it brings the most result. Association of devotees. With association of devotees, you are able to do all the other 4 limbs of the most important limbs of bhakti. So what are the 5 important, so there are 64 principles defined, and among those 5 are particularly important. What are they? How I remember it is Nam, Dham, Bhagavatam, deities and devotees. Holy names, the going to place of pilgrimage, chanting of the holy names, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, worship of the deities, and association of devotees. These 5 can swiftly help you in advancing, right? Most important principles. And of these, if you just start with association of devotees, with association of devotees you are chanting also. With association of devotees you are hearing Bhagavatam also. Devotees are mostly living in Dham. And then with devotees, you also have deities. So by association of devotees, you get all the other four. So it is said, never leave association of devotees. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes write, he would say, well, I think one place he wrote, if one thinks that they can advance in Krishna consciousness separate from the association of devotees, they are living in a great illusion. So you cannot make advancement without association. It's alone not possible. Right? So if you think you can make advancement in Krishna consciousness without association of devotees, you are living in a big illusion. Right? So by association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also, he became a great devotee. So I'll read next sloka. Vishnu Sakti Para Prokta Kshetragyakhya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Samyagya Tritya Shakti Rishyate. Translation. So this is from Vishnu Puran. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting. The internal potency of the Supreme Lord Vishnu is spiritual as verified by the Shastras. There is another spiritual potency known as Kshetragya or the living entity. The third potency, which is known as nescience, makes the living entity godless and fills him with fruitive activity. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, in Sri Krishna's discourse on the Kshetra and the Kshetragya, it is clearly stated that the Kshetragya is the living entity who knows his field of activities. The living entities in the material world are forgetful of their eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This forgetfulness is called avidya or nescience. The avidya shakti, the avidya potency of the material world, provokes fruitive activity. Although this avidya shakti, material energy or nescience, is also an energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is specially intended to keep the living entities in a state of forgetfulness. This is due to their rebellious attitude toward the Lord. Thus, although the living entities are constitutionally spiritual, they come under the influence of the potency of nescience. How this happens is described in the following verse. It's a very interesting purport. So, the Supreme Lord has three energies: internal, marginal, and external. Anybody knows this in Sanskrit? So, internal and the marginal potency is called Tathashta Sakti, and the external potency is called Bahiranga Shakti. Right? It's so living entities is right in the middle. They can choose where they want to take shelter. So sometimes when you are walking on a wall, there are two sides, right? You are walking on a wall and there are two sides, this side, and the living entity is walking on the wall, and then one side is the material energy, other side is the spiritual energy. And sometimes the person who is walking may fall down. Which side does he fall down? The sign is he leans towards. Like if you're leaning to the material energy, you fall down there. If you're leaning to the spiritual energy, you go to that side. So living entity can choose. He has the independence to choose which side, which energy he wants to take shelter of. This free will is given to the living entity. Right? And Prabhupada writes here very nice. rebellious attitude we have towards the Lord. What is rebellious? Anybody knows the word rebellious? Yeah, sort of like normally you say a rebellious child. You know you have some children sometimes. And last time there was we had this kids mela. There was one boy. He was so rebellious. He was going around at night disturbing all the devotees. He didn't allow. He was just disturbing, and devotees were getting disturbed. So rebellious child is he does not obey the rules and regulations. And then I had to tell him, if you don't behave, I will kick you out at night. You will be outside. You have to behave properly. And then he behaved, right? So rebellious children is like that. They don't want to follow any authority. They are just they are not listening. They're disobeying. You know, normally children are like that. They are. It's natural that they are like causing havoc. So similarly, we are also actually have rebellious attitude towards the Lord. Can you imagine that? We have a rebellious attitude towards the Lord, meaning we just don't want to accept Him as our controller, as our caregiver. We think, I will just do it by myself. I don't need you. You know. So this is a rebellious attitude, and the living entities, although they are spiritual in nature, they are under the influence of this external energy because of this rebellious attitude. Because they have this attitude, Krishna has this external energy to take care of them. You know, they need taking care. You know, we are not independent. Sometimes we may think we are independent, we can do whatever we want, but we are not independent. We need the external energy of the Lord also. So the external energy is for those living entities who are rebellious. And then the external energy takes charge of you. But if someone wants to serve Krishna, then there is the internal energy takes care of you. So again, it's our free will. We can choose what energy we want to take shelter. We want to take shelter of the avidya shakti, which is the potency of this material world. It causes forgetfulness. Avidya shakti causes forgetfulness. It's like sometimes it's one element of this material world, forgetfulness. You know, we do not remember our past life also. Right? Imagine what would happen if we remembered our past life. Can you think of something? What would happen if we remembered our past life?
So, and most people go to psychiatrists because you can't handle this life. Tell you, no different lives, more lives than you.
It's too much.
It's too much. It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy. It's similar to sleeping also, you know. When you sleep, you forget what external is happening also. So imagine going through the hellish planets, you know, so much of pain. Imagine you can remember that. You would not have free will. You would be thinking, I don't want to go through that again. You'd be more influenced by that, and that would give less free will, less choice to you. So that is why Krishna is merciful, and he has we do not normally remember our previous lives. Although there are quite a lot of instances where children have remembered their past lives. There are so many verified documents by a scientist named Ian Stevenson. He was a psychiatrist in the University of Virginia. He has more than 2,000 cases of verified instances of children remembering their past life, not just in India, throughout the world. Uh, so forgetfulness. So forgetfulness is an element of this world, element of the material world, and we forget that where are we coming from, where are we going. We are under this big illusion because that's where we want to be. But if we have the desire to serve Krishna, to serve devotees, then this forgetfulness energy, Krishna removes this energy. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. This material energy, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders unto me can easily cross beyond it. Right? So the material energy, very difficult to overcome. But by surrendering to Krishna, it's easier. Krishna removes the forgetfulness. And we can see it practically in our lives, how Krishna is working. Krishna perform. They say there are two ways you can look at life. One is either nothing is a miracle, the other is everything is a miracle. Everything that happens in the day is a miracle because it's being arranged by Krishna for you. Right? Or we can just live life like it's all random, nothing. There is no miracle happening every day. It's all random. There is no controller. That's one way to live. The other way to live is everything I go through my day is happening by Krishna's will. So I'm getting what I deserve. I'm trying my best to serve Krishna. So this is another way. Yeah, any points anyone would like to add or questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Please. Couple.
The first question is like sometimes someone might have a desire to be already like controlled by spiritual energy and take the pleasure from there and become a devotee. But even though doing all this effort, even though praying, Lord, all these things, maybe he struggle with some. I mean, maybe ask questions way back in class, like even though wanting, desiring, doing all these things to like the habit energy or whatever you want to call it, kind of stops the living entity sometimes from going all the way that like already some desire is there somewhere. Even though praying sometimes doesn't happen so much or takes a lot of time.
So what was it?
The question is like, why is it?
Why is it? Yeah, it takes time. We have to be patient, I think. Utsaha, Rupa Goswami says three things are needed. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dhairya. You need patience, you need determination, and you need enthusiasm in this path. You need to be enthusiastic about your sadhana. You need to be determined to do it every day. But you also need to be patient. Because for so many lifetimes we have been doing the material, we have been serving the material energy, and just to make that change, it's out of habit, like you said, it will take time.
somewhere it said that I don't know what exactly the statement was, but you can surrender in 1 second. This doesn't need time. But if you want, you can surrender right now.
Yeah, but we want. That's the thing. We don't want. If we want, we can. It may happen right now, but we don't want. We still want to enjoy, right? We still want to. Yeah, we still want to take. We don't. If we. Once I was in Sachinandan Maharaj's class, and Krishna was. He had a small deity of Krishna in the front of the room. And then he asked the audience, "Did you see Krishna here? He's so beautiful. Have you taken darshan? Have you gone closely to Krishna and took his darshan? Have you gone close and took his darshan?" And I had not done that. I just said no. And he looked at me and he said, "We are very expert at ignoring Krishna." So when we do that, we don't. But if we want, we can just surrender immediately. But normally it does not happen. For a normal person, it's quite difficult. So that is why there is the process of devotional service. That is why there is sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is regulative practices. We do some regulations. That's why sadhana bhakti is so important. That's why your sadhana is so important. Vaisheshika Prabhu would say, to cut a rock, to break a rock, you need an axe, and then you need a small opening. If there is no opening, it may be difficult, but once there is a small opening, you put the axe in the small opening and hit every day. So this is sadhana bhakti. We have small faith, we put the axe and we hit every day. And then the rock's gonna break. Our heart will become softer. Our heart will also break for Krishna. So every day we have to hit, but it has to be every day. I mean, it has to be regular. There should be a regular practice. You go to every day, and then one day you'll wake up and see that, wow, I have changed so much. You could just compare yourself with the last 10 years and see yourself today, and you see, wow, Krishna is very merciful. The process actually works.
I don't want to be so negative.
Mm.
Sometimes we can also feel, this is my experience, like someone could be going backwards. Not maybe for some years, but like 2, 3 years, you can like you're actually, probably because you're doing something wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happens. But going up and down is a process of anartha nivritti. Like when we go through stages, we come to a platform called anartha nivritti. So there is Shraddha, faith, there is Sadhu Sangha, there is association of devotees, there is Bhajana Kriya, which is you take up some practices every day, and then the stage comes of Anartha Nivritti. And this going up sometimes coming down, this is one stage in the Anartha Nivritti called Taranga Rangini. It's like waves, Like in an ocean, you have these waves. Sometimes the boat is going up, sometimes down. So similarly, in the process of Anartha Nivritti, in the cleansing process, this is a stage that we go through, that sometimes we feel super elated, very nice, and sometimes we feel we are not able to do properly. But this is a process, this is the stage we have to go through. We have to do it every day, not stop, and this stage will also, we can pass this level of anartha nivritti.
There another negativity. So that one is to this chant on the level of non-loss,
Mm-hmm.
and follow the four regular sequences.
Yeah.
And then chant 16 rounds.
Yeah, it has to be regulated, like I said. Bhajana Kriya, you have to pass Bhajana Kriya. And Bhajana Kriya is you take up some regulations every day. You take up some practice every day, and then you come to the platform of Anartha Nivritti. So, up and down, we should not be bewildered. Sometimes it may be, we may have very nice feelings, one day we may be like crying for Krishna, we may be chanting and crying. The other day we may not feel anything, there is nothing. We may take up our chanting beads and we feel, there is nothing today. I don't have any emotion and I don't want to. But this is just part of the process. We just have to keep doing every day. Imagine, just take example of Maharaj. He has been chanting every day for the last 50 years. I mean, how amazing is that? He has been chanting every day for the last 50 years. Isn't that amazing? Man? So it takes time.
Anyone else questions?
Yeah.
So you were mentioning how we are like often controlled by directly by God or by Krishna,
Mm-hmm.
and like which energy of Krishna we want to be influenced by.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to ask this, but like often like the relationship between us and Krishna is compared to the relationship like you were doing with the rebellious attitude between children and parents.
Mm.
But then usually when children grow up, at some point they become independent of parents and live their own life.
Mm.
But this somehow for the souls never happens. Like always are dependent on Krishna.
Mm.
So and maybe this question is too far out. Something like like wondering how this dynamic coming into place, or why is it like what's the whole point behind us always being controlled or dependent on
Yeah, I think it's our constitutional position to be dependent. It's something that cannot be taken away from us. A child matures or whatever, but still the child has relationship with the parents and it cannot be taken away. Maybe the example may not fully apply, but what we can say is our nature that we are always dependent on something cannot be taken away from us. It's like intrinsic. It's like you cannot separate sweetness from sugar. So you cannot separate we are always servants. You cannot separate it from the soul. It's the natural position to be dependent on Krishna. Natural position of the soul. And when we realize that and when we come to that point, then we are in our natural state. This is the natural position of the living entity. So unless we get there, like you see anybody you ask in the material world, we go for books distribution sometimes, and the thing that people can relate to the most, I find, is when we say there is no happiness in this material world, and everybody, almost everyone, unless they are 15 and they don't have much experience of life, most of them they say, yes, you are true. What you are saying is true. Like what you're like when you give example of the mirage, it clicks. When you give the example that in this world the happiness is like a mirage. You think it's there, but when you go there, it's not there. everyone can relate to this, and mostly they agree that there is no happiness in the material world.
So I understand that we are right now we are mostly controlled your energy.
Yeah,
But what exactly is what the
being controlled by spiritual energy.
and it's like we are robots or like marionettes or like Krishna's like
No, not like that, but we are under the shelter. We're taking shelter of the spiritual energy. We're taking shelter of Krishna. We're taking shelter of the process of chanting. That's and then we slowly are able to give up our shelter of material activities. We have to take shelter somewhere. So we take shelter of spiritual energy. That means taking shelter of Hare, devotional energy, taking shelter of the devotional process, the chanting of the holy names, the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, the association of devotees, the worship of the deities. This is the devotional process. So we take shelter in the spiritual energy. That's where we want to go. That's what we want to be our how do you say? We don't want to be under the modes of material nature, right? We want to be our life. Prabhupada would say, dovetail your life in such a way that you can always remember Krishna. You manage your life in such a way that you can always remember Krishna. This is the most important.
does it mean like the word control is more meant in the way of influence?
Yeah, sometimes control has maybe a negative thing, but we are essentially we are servants. We either serve Maya or we serve Krishna. By serving Krishna, that is our natural position. Serving Maya is not natural. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Yasoda Jivan?
The one sentence I've read today, one line from Bhagavad Gita,
Mm-hmm.
says that this realization is how could we reach to realization? Bhagavad said this realization is to know you are servant of Krishna.
Mm. Yeah. So that's it then. We are servants of Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki joy. Gaur Bhakta ki joy. Shri Vijay Gauranga Doyal Nitai ki joy. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.